And as always, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you gotta go to our BSPN for this evening. Been waiting all day for this. I love it. I love it. Yes. I have lots to say. We did have 3 pro shows this weekend, but we don't have any pictures from the Night of the Champions yet, so I'm not going to cover that one yet. Once we get some more, pictures and things like that I can look at, then we'll do a review of that one. What's up, Michelle? But I saw a couple of live feeds, but that's not enough for me to sit and make any kind of assessments or anything like that over just a couple of Instagram live feeds that popped up. But as you all know, Ashley Kaltwasser did win that one. She won it by 1 point over Jessica Wilson. So I do know that much, but that's all I know. And I do know they both are going into New York Pro this coming weekend. Anyway, tonight we're going to go through St. Louis and through Grl Power. I'm going to start with St. Louis and then go into Grl Power because I was obviously not at both. I was not in St. Louis, so I'm just going based on what I saw from pictures. And I caught a couple of live feeds for St. Louis, so I'm going to go by what I see from the photos. Again, I'm not a judge. I wasn't there in person, so it's really hard to judge shows from just pictures that you see online and things like that, but I'm going to tell you what I see. Hello, that's a nice little color. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. So let's see. So initially when we talked about this show, we had Alessia and Eli vying for first and second. Well, Gabrielle Macias decided to jump into this show last minute, and she won it. So, which is good because she just did Pittsburgh and Alessia actually beat her in Pittsburgh, but here Gabby beat Alessia. So, with looking at how that went down, I do think that was the correct call. Gabrielle did a few things wrong at Pittsburgh, and she fixed those things here in St. Louis. So, she put her red suit back on, which I think was the right call. While that light blue suit was pretty on her, it wasn't like a wow color for her. The red was definitely a better look for her. And of course, now my computer is deciding to not go to their pictures, so I'm just going to talk until they load up. But the one thing that, when I was going back and forth between her and Alessia, I felt like Gabby won from the front and Alessia won from the back. Gabby's glutes don't look the same as what they did when she first came out on the stage, like back in Tahoe. Like when she came out in Tahoe, her glutes were amazing. And for some reason, now of course my computer's not working, so whatever, that's what it is. I'll put the pictures as we go. But Gabby did improve her glutes from where she was in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, they were really flat and like soft, and it almost looked like they like downsized by half. The pictures here looks like she definitely pumped them back up. So, I mentioned for Pittsburgh, I felt like she just didn't dial in correctly or something. Whereas for St. Louis, it was a lot better. I still don't think she's where she was last year. So I do think she needs to get back in the gym and put some more volume back on her back pose. But for some reason, I don't know, she's kind of lost a little bit of volume. She did fix her, her suit thing. I still want to see more coverage on her top. I still think she's just showing a little bit too much in the chesticle area. But I was happy that she went to the red suit again, because I do think that was a better look for her with the red. So I think that was the right call in that scenario. And then when I looked at Alessia from the front, her pose was just weird. Like, she looked really blocky. She typically has this really crazy V out into her back, and that's what really makes her frame stand out. And there was just something wrong with her this time where she looked like she was almost crunched forward. I've seen girls do that sometimes, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just that they start practicing wrong, or maybe their lower back's hurting or something like that. But that's what it looked like. It looked like she was crunching forward versus pulling up and chest open. So her front pose really didn't do it for me at this particular show, but her glutes were nice and full. And I do think that from the back, I do think that Alessia was the winner from the back. But Gabby just killed her from the front. So I do think it was the right call with the two of them. Eli, I just wasn't. I don't know what's up with Eli's back pose. Her front pose at Wasatch was it Wasatch that she was just in? I think it was Wasatch, right? So her front pose at Wasatch was really good. Here, it just didn't do much for me. It wasn't bad or anything like that. There was nothing wrong with her front pose, but she had a wow factor at Wasatch that she was missing here. And then also from the back, her legs, there's something about her legs that have really downsized. She had some good pop to her glutes this time. Wasatch, she didn't have that pop. She didn't have that round fullness, but she did have that here. However, she just looks a little thin. She, again, just looks like she's downsized a little bit, kind of like the same situation as Gabby. And I feel like she needs to fill that volume back out. I do like this suit on her. I do like the suit color. I'd like to see it a little bit deeper. I think it's a little bit too bright on her. So maybe she went just a touch deeper in the blue. I think that would probably accentuate her a little bit better. And then something else. So the girl that took 4th is this girl from China. Chen Kui, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Her posing was a little weird. However, I know why she did it that way. Because she's been competing since Border Clash. And at Border Clash, I remember seeing her walk on stage and thinking she's wellness. She's got too much muscle. She's too thick. She's too dense. She's too much muscle everywhere. So what I've noticed over the last few shows is that she's manipulating her posing to bring her muscularity down. So I know that's why she did what she did in order to, put her frame up there and be competitive. But I still don't think it was quite right. Like, she looked a little bonied from the back. And I know, you guys, if you pose with me, if I tell you to push your knees out, that's going to pop your quads a little bit from the back. So if you have too much quad, you don't want to do that. But there's a fine balance. Like, she needed to go maybe a little bit wider with her stance, and instead of her knees going in, she needed to just go straight forward with her knees because they just look a little weird from the back. But with that said, this was a lot better of a package on her that was more competitive, because she does carry so much muscle. So she had to kind of downplay a little bit in order to be competitive with the top 3. So overall, I do think this was a good look for her, and I think it was the right move for her, given her frame and given the amount of muscle that she does carry. The girl that came in 5th, Sierra. I've never seen her before, but same scenario here. She was just too muscular and too lean too. She had striations through her shoulders. You could see that in her poses. And from the back, she was just, again, too thick and too muscular. Her and the girl from China, Chen Kui, they both look very similar in their frames as far as muscularity is concerned. So that tells me why they were in 4th and 5th right there. That makes sense as to why they were in that call out right there, because they were comparable with each other. BSPN, my friend Sierra. Okay, BSPNs are so motivating. Thank you. You're welcome. So, I think that they did a good job of showing their strengths. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to fine tune as they move forward, right? Look at your shoulder gains, right? Yes, I'm here. Can you see my sunburn? Like random patches of sunburn because I missed places with the sunscreen yesterday. My hands are burned. Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool, right? But anyway. So sunburn, I know, right? But yeah, so I think that was right on with the top 5. I think that was good. I know, at the end of the day, they're going to reward the girls that are in shape and that have more muscle, but they're not going to be, the top 3. So that makes sense. One thing I'm going to mention too, because this is the case for 3 of the girls in that top 5, is all of them had really yellow makeup. I've been seeing this a lot recently. I've actually critiqued a couple of my own girls that have gone into shows and their faces just look yellow. To me, that's a really unattractive look. It looks a little bit like they're sick, almost a little jaundicey. And the only one in that, I'm looking at the screen right now, Sierra's not quite yellow. I mean, she's okay. Sierra's okay. And Eli is not yellow. The other 3 are. So I don't know if they all went to the same makeup artist or not, but it's really noticeable when their bodies are brown and their faces are yellow. So that the foundation color just needs to change a little bit to have more of a bronze look versus that yellow look. So pay attention to that kind of thing too, because to me that just really stands out when I see that. Yellow base foundation. I'm guessing it's a yellow base. I don't know. I don't know what they're using. But I've been seeing this quite a bit at a lot of the shows recently, and to me it's just not a good look. I'd rather your face be a little bit too light and actually be like a brownish shade versus a yellow. The yellow just makes you look a little sick, I noticed that too, yeah. Which show is being discussed? St. Louis right now. Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't get NPC News to actually work for me, so I'm not able to go through to the next show. So yeah, I think it was right. I think the call was right. I think that Gabby's just a stunner when she gets on stage. She's gonna be a threat anytime she gets on stage, and she looked better here than she did in Pittsburgh. She definitely made improvements since Pittsburgh, dialed in better since Pittsburgh, so that makes sense as to why she won this show 100%. There's just little things that were off with Alessia and with Eli, and they both need to fix those things, and if they want to continue to win shows, right? I noticed that too at my show. Yeah. I talked to you about that, Raven. Yeah, it's been happening a lot. So I'm just not a huge fan of the yellow faces, you guys, right? What about her hair being pulled back? Well, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of that, to be honest with you, that the hair being pulled back. But she always does it. It's like her look. She won the overall at the Arnold Amateur with that look. I mean, it's just what she does. So it works for her. You know, just like anybody else, there's a few girls that, like, you know, they rock the bald head or the pixie cut or whatever. It's their style. This is her style. If it wasn't her, I would say don't do it, but it works for her. It works for her. So she did cut her hair in the back, so it's no longer hanging down her butt crack. That was something at Pittsburgh. It was almost like she had a tail, and she didn't have that here, so that was good. Her hair drives me nuts. Yeah, at the end of the day, I would like to see her put the hair down. But again, it's been working for her. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just like she changed to that bright blue suit at Pittsburgh, and it didn't work for her. This red, it works for her. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Go back to what was working before. Pretty simple. So that's what I see from the pictures. Again, I wasn't at this show, so I didn't see it live, but, that's pretty much the call that I see right there. So let's move on to Girl Power. And like I said, I can't get anything to move here, so I'm going to go by memory as far as placings because I don't have it up in front of me. But as we know, Ashlyn did win this show. And I was in person at this show. So I'm going to talk about each of the girls that we kind of talked about, we thought would be threats, that kind of thing. Actually, I've got my list right here, so I make sure I don't miss anybody. There we go. Okay. So Ashlyn won the show, which was amazing. 100% deserved that from front to back. She deserved the win. And I thought she looked amazing from the moment she stepped on stage. And I'll be honest, I think everybody in the audience was like, please just let her win, because she was the best competitor on stage and she's taken second so many times. So for those of you that don't know, Ashlyn has never won a show. Even as an amateur, she has never won a show until this weekend. She took second to win her pro card. She has never won a show. This is her first win in her entire career. So it was pretty emotional. I started crying. Everybody in the audience stood up and was cheering for her, and everybody on stage was cheering for her. When they called Romina in second, Romina ran right up to Ashlyn and gave her a huge hug. That was awesome to see. It was neck and neck with Ashlyn and Romina, and to see Romina go do that with her was awesome. It was a great moment to be able to witness. So happy for her. Yeah, right. She definitely deserved it, right? That's perseverance right there. It sure is. It sure is. And, she's never had a really off look. She's very consistent. She always looks good. She's always up there in contention every time, so it's so hard when you look so consistent. You know what I mean? It was an awesome moment. It sure was. So I think she just nailed it, top to bottom. She nailed it, and so I think it was great. I think it was an awesome win. Her mom was there. I got to meet her mom, so it was really cool for that to happen for her on Mother's Day weekend and everything too. It was just if it had to happen that way, it was great that it happened that way. You know what I mean? I love Ashlyn, super helpful with posing at CCTS and Spectrum shows. Yeah, so for those of you that were part of CCTS this year, she was there. She was our commentator for our live stream, so you got to meet her in person, or if you were on our live feed, she was doing the commentating for our live feed. So she gives a lot to the sport. Really, really, really happy for her that she finally got this win, because it was 100% deserved. I was doing my second round of cardio and screamed and scared the girl on the other treadmill. I love it. Top 10 in Olympia, never won a show ever. I had no idea. That's awesome. Yeah, never won a show ever. She's the best. So happy for her. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So now she can take a break and she can breathe to Olympia, you know, all of that. So really, really happy for her. Again, I just think it was overall a really great look for her. I can't say if it was her best look ever because she's so consistent at everything, right? So moving on to second place, which was Romina. Loved her posing. Yeah, she did great with her posing. So Romina walked out, and I'm gonna be honest with you. So I was sitting there with Paul Ravella. We were watching the prejudging together, and when Romina walked out, we both go, "Damn! Like she looks good." Like, wow! Like it was a really, really good version of Romina. Romina, I've said this before in our live feeds. Like, there's certain times that she has issues with her conditioning and things like that. That was not the case. She looked very good at Border Clash, but this look was even better. She looked really good. And honestly, we're like, oh crap, she's going to give Ashlyn some serious competition. What I think made the difference between Romina in second versus first is her overall muscularity. Romina's carries more muscle. Romina's glutes were full and tight. Yeah, that's the best she's looked in a while, but she was phenomenal. And here's the thing I wanted to mention too about Romina and her glutes. Yes, she's got amazing glutes. Don't get me wrong. She had full round pop, all of that. But what you can't see if you weren't there in person is she had a little film of water on her glutes. And I even looked at the pictures, and you don't see it in the pictures. You don't see it in the videos, but I saw it sitting there watching her on stage. She did have a little bit of water on her glutes. You know, that's a risk when you try to fill out like that. And I noticed it. She was the only one in that first call out that had that. None of the rest of them up there had that. She was the only one. So that, coupled with the fact she was really broad and wide in her upper body and her back pose, it was too much. I actually talked to the judges about this one. That was a comment that they made about her. They didn't like the fact that she had spread so much, and that she needs to pull it down a little bit because she's looking more figure than bikini. Like we talked about before, they're really trying to get away from that whole lat spread thing and everything, and that really hurt her. So that's where that first and second place really, really came into play. But she's looked in a while. Yeah, her front pose looked overly muscular. How is that in person? She is overly muscular. She is too big. She's put together so well, and her glutes are so good that you can look past the fact that she is muscularly big, right? So, you know, it's a catch-22. It's like, because what do you do? Because the other part of it too is if she downsizes, then her waistline is going to start looking a little thicker. So it's a fine-tuned balance kind of thing, right? So I think she looked phenomenal. Like I said, I think it was the best look that she had so far for a very long time. But again, it was just a little bit too big. Just a little bit too big on the muscularity. So she's just got to pull it down just a little bit. But I was very impressed with her. And literally, like, the second she walked on stage, we were all like, damn, like, she looks really good. You know, so we're being very hypercritical right now when we talk about these things, because it's not until she gets into comparisons that you see just how big she is in comparison to everybody else, right? Third place, Carolina. Sorry, I don't have NPC News in front of me because this is not working. So I think it's Carolina in third place. Somebody correct me if I got her name wrong. Wow. Her waistline is non-existent. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody with a waistline that small before in my life. Like, seriously, so tiny. When she walked out on stage, I was like, she could break in half. But here's the other part of that. She had these full round shoulders and these full round glutes, and she's beautiful, like, beautiful girl. You couldn't not look at her. Could not look at her. She was stunning. And it was just that, like, and I hate to say it this way because it sounds bad, but it was that freak factor. Cartoonish. She looked like a cartoon. She didn't look real, you know, and it was her pro debut. It was her pro debut. She got up there and she took third. I mean, she looked really good, and she had the presence and the stage presence and all of that. She had it all. You know what I mean? So yes, that was her pro debut. Yep. She took first to me at Universe. Yep. I know Shanika because I was sitting next to Paul, so he told me, he's like, that's the girl that beat Shanika. It's like team no waste, right? She's team no waste. Yep, absolutely. She sure is. I was just like, it's like almost mind-blowing how small it was. And the thing is like a lot of times you'll see girls with small waists and they look like they're sucking in, and it's like you see rib cage and all of that. That was not the case with her. You still saw abs, you saw muscularity there. So it was just, it's literally freak factor, like cartoonish. So she looked amazing. And if she didn't have the shoulders that matched the glutes, I don't think she would have been in that position. But her shoulders were so full and round, and so were her glutes. So she looked really good, really, really good. She won first. Yeah, right. Yep. So she was the one that won Class A at Universe. So yeah, she looked amazing. So that's an incredible pro debut. Okay, somebody help me out here because I'm blanking and I can't get this to load for me. So who took fourth? Fourth was Shelby. Shelby looked good. Let me see if I can get this to go. I'm just gonna keep trying to get my computer to work, and it's not going. So Shelby looked good. I felt like she got better as she posed. Her glutes were a little bit meh when she was doing her individual routine, but by the time she got into comparisons, I felt like she got into a groove. They got fuller, they got rounder, and I felt like she looked better as she posed. So she looked really good as the posing went on. Like when she was actually doing her routine, I was like, she's looking a little flat back there. But it was almost like, again, as she started posing more, as they started doing comparisons more, she got better and better. So overall, really well balanced, really nice round full glutes. And looked really pretty, obviously, from top to bottom too. Very well balanced. And this is something I wanted to mention too. They kept these girls in call-outs forever. Like first and second call-out took like 15 minutes, and they had 10 girls in that call-out. So imagine you're one of these top 10 girls, and you have to do comparisons for 15 minutes. Like no joke, it was that long because I was videoing it. So it was long. These girls were put through the ringer. They did comparisons a lot. So, yeah. So, oh, is it? Oh, I'm like Carol Fitness. I was like, you must be third place right there. Got it. Cool. Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad I could make your day. Yeah. Stunning look. So yeah. So then, in fifth we had, Jessica Dolius. She looked good. It was probably the best I've seen Jessica do. I am not a fan of her suit choice at all. I don't know who does her suits, but her tops are huge. I wish she would get a different suit because I feel like the top just covers so much of her upper body. It really throws off her whole balance. And she's always had that same cut of her top, and I'm not sure why. It goes like all the way into her armpit. She needs to get like an inch or two off on the side just to really display her physique better. Wasn't a fan of the color either. I think that the color could have been a little bit more poppy. It was like a greenish something. I don't know. I felt like her overall package wasn't bad, but I felt like she could do better. Like her physique was good, but everything, all the details on top of it were a little off. So if she could fix some of those things, I think that would really help her present better what she actually has built with her physique. Let's see. I was so tired to hold my pose. Yeah, right? Everybody was. That's a battle. It sure was. Yes, they made them work. They sure did. So, personally, I didn't have Jessica in fifth, but I get it because sixth was Hannah. And I was having a hard time with Hannah too because Hannah's so cute on stage. I love watching her. She's just so much fun on stage. But again, she had a lot of little details missing. Her hair and makeup was kind of meh at this show. Like the show that she won, it was Battle of Texas. She just looked glam goddess gorgeous. You know what I mean? This show wasn't, it was kind of a meh kind of look with the hair and makeup. So she needs to bump that back up because with her being such a cute girl, if you don't have that glam factor on point, like you just end up looking cute, So she needs to pump that glam factor back up again. Yes, it didn't pop. Correct. It didn't pop. So that was the first thing I really noticed. I was like, does she even have makeup on? Like, that's what I said when I saw her walk out on stage. Needs to bump that glam factor up. Posing was off. It looked like to me, she's kind of downsized her upper body. She overall looks a little bit smaller, but so much so that I felt like her shoulders had diminished quite a bit and her glutes took over. Bikini's still about balance. You still need to have shoulders. And I think some of that was her posing. because she had her arm yanked way out. And when you do that, you lose your shoulder. You got to let your arm drop and hang so the shoulder rounds back out. I mean, you just saw mine do it right there. My shoulder looks round when my arm's down. When it's here, it's skinny. That's what she did. So we didn't see any roundness in her shoulder. I think some of that is posing related. It looks like she's lost some size in her shoulders and she needs to pump that back up. Wish her hair was longer. I'm going to get into that too, the hair thing. I'm going to get into that too, because this goes into the glam factor and it goes into her back pose. Back pose, she was all glutes, nothing else. And again, it's balance. So she had kind of the opposite problem of what Romina had, where Romina was really spread wide. Hannah was really pushed back and pinched. You could see her shoulder blades pinching in her back pose. She was really tilted in her lower back, and she didn't have enough hair back there to cover her pinching of her shoulders. So if she had some more hair back there to cover up the shoulder blades, and if she just stood up a little taller and didn't tilt quite as much, that would balance her frame out a little bit better. But the way that she posed, all we saw was glutes, which, you know, that's not a problem if you have the upper body to balance you, right? But she just didn't. She minimized her upper body through her posing, so it threw her balance off. If she can go and fix all these little tiny things, she will move up really quick. She's got a great look overall, but it's just those little details were missing. The glam factor was missing. The posing factor was missing. She needs to go back and just bump those things up to the next level so that she can get back up into that top 5 and not 6th, right? So I do think that was a good call as far as where she was placed. I think that was appropriate. I think that was right, because there was just little things that were off. Going into that second call out, I'll talk about a couple of people because I mentioned them when we were first talking about this show. Anne-Marie looked great. Anne-Marie's become very consistent with her first pro show season. Looked full, tight. She's another one that she was kept in call-outs the whole time for that first and second call-out, because she was brought out into first call-out and kept out there for second call-out. I think she ended up 7th, I think. And you could see she was getting tired. Her front pose was starting to crunch a little bit. She was losing her lat a little bit. But, I mean, she was posing in that thing for 15 minutes. Like, that's a long time to have to hold that pose, right? But overall, I mean, her look looks really good. Really, really good. Really consistent. Again, looks good at every show. Looked full, round, tight, all of that. So, all of that was great. She just needs more size, like we talked about before. I mean, she's my height. I think she might be even an inch taller than me. She needs to have more legs in order to balance her frame out, and that's it. So, you know, I talked to her a little bit after the show, and her plan is that's what she's going to do. She's going to grow her lower half before she comes back on stage, because if she continues to compete, that's where she's going to continue to land, is somewhere in that second call-out range. So until she builds some more lower body, she's not going to bump up into that first call-out top 5. So, you know, you got to go make improvements. That's it. I mean, she was very consistent with every show that she went into, has a great stage presence and posing. So she's just got to build up the body. She's got all the details. She's got all the details nailed. She just needs to get back into the gym and eat some more, you know? Love her look. Yeah, absolutely. She looked great. And again, you can tell she's having a great time up there, full of life and energy. Like, love watching her pose. So now it's just a matter of her growing a little bit more so she can be competitive with the girls that are shorter than her. Vanya looked great. This was a much improved Vanya at this show. She's tightened her lower half. That was her issue at Border Clash, and she was a little bit too soft through her lower half. She definitely tightened up for this show. She still is a little bit too muscular through her legs. She's got to pull those legs down a little bit more in order to get her body to balance. And I think that's why she's in that second call-out range. If she can bring those legs down just a touch, I think that's going to help her bump up into that first call-out. Her posing was amazing. Great routine. Really fun confidence. I'm not a huge fan of her suit. The cut on it, I'm not a fan of the cut. And I think the purple color is pretty on her, but I think she needs a little bit deeper. It's too bright of a purple. It's almost like a lilac. It's so light. Like, even this is a little darker. Like, I'd like to see her in something a little bit darker in the purple range. And the other thing for me that was really distracting was her hair. She doesn't necessarily need longer hair because she's got good fullness in her back from the back, so she doesn't necessarily need longer hair, but the ringlets in her hair were so bouncy that I found myself looking at her ringlets all the time. like, I'd like to see her just take that and brush it out so that it's not quite so like, bow, bow, bow. Like all I could think of was Shirley Temple. And while it's cute, it was distracting. Like that's all I could see was the bouncing of the ringlets. So I'd like to see her just brush that out a little bit. And I think that that would be a good look for her with the hair, right? The curls were too bouncy. They were too bouncy. It was literally like that. When I was watching her, I had to watch the routine a couple of times in order to actually see her, because all I saw was the curls bouncing, right? So I'd like to see her just brush the curls out, really, you know? Her curls were too tight. They were too tight. And again, they were really bouncy. Like, it would be one thing if they were tight and just stayed there, but they didn't. They moved everywhere she moved. Every time she moved, they bounced. So, like, little things like that become distracting when the girls are on stage, and that's all I could look at. You know, all I could look at was her curls bouncing. I made that mistake my first show, and I looked at the photos like, yeah, right? For real. Like, and again, these are little simple fixes. Like, her physique is almost right there. She just needs to make little fine-tuning details. Like I said, the suit, in my opinion, she needs to go a little darker and a little bit of a different style. And then the hair, just brush it out. And I think her posing is phenomenal. She's got a great look. She's a beautiful girl. So it's just these little things that would help her bump up into that top 5. That's too funny. I think we've all made that mistake at one point or another. I will say that. And I'll say this too, as somebody who does hair and makeup for stage. So if I do your hair for stage and I put curls in it, they're going to be tight when you leave my hair or leave my chair. And I always tell you, if your curls are still tight when you're backstage, run a brush or your fingers through them to loosen them out, let them fall a little bit so they're more wavy versus curls. 9 times out of 10, you guys don't listen to me. I'm like, just loosen them up. Just let them flow a little bit so that they don't look so tight like that, right? Really simple fix, really easy fix, right? And I make sure that the girls, when they leave my chair, they have those tight curls, because depending on when you go on stage, they fall over time. So I don't want you to look like you have just a messy, like half curled head. I want you to look like you've had your hair done. You know what I mean? So just pay attention to what I tell you in the morning. And, you know, that could be the scenario with her. Who knows? Maybe somebody did her hair and, like, they told her to do something like that and she just forgot. Something along that line. But brush your curls. Brush your curls out, ladies. Brush your curls out. Okay? And the last one I wanted to talk about was Erin Stern. So, initially I had Erin in that first call out. Sorry, I have a hair on me. There we go. She ended up in 3rd call out, I think. I can't remember where she placed. I want to say 11th, somewhere between 11th and 13th. Again, I can't pull it up right now because it's just spinning, but she's somewhere in that range. Her posing and presence this show was vastly improved. So much better than previous shows. So much better than previous shows. So I was really impressed with that. Her posing was very fluid. She looked like she had been practicing this a lot, right? So that looked great. Now onto the bad stuff. So she is an ex-Miss Figure Olympia winner, and she looks it. She's dense. She's got a lot of dense muscle. She looks more muscular than all of the other girls on that stage. And that really is what is hindering her from getting up into higher call-outs. Now, I did talk to judges about this too, and her previous feedback had been that she needed to streamline her physique. And what she did in response to that was she came in softer, which is not what they wanted. They wanted the muscle to be toned down. So she just didn't quite nail the look. Now, I'm sure she'll go back to the drawing board and fix it for her next show, right? She still has a great frame and everything like that. But again, when you look at her in comparison to everybody else, she's just so dense and thick in that muscularity. It's really hard once you have that muscle density to pull it back down. It's really hard. Erin was 13. Okay. Thank you. Like I said, I unfortunately can't pull it up. So, you know, she just looked like, if you were, a good example is like she looked like the mom next to the teenage girls. Like that's what she looked like. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean she looked more mature, right? So, and you gotta remember too, she's in her 40s now. I think she's 42. So technically she is about 20 years older than some of these girls. You know what I mean? And that comes with it, muscle maturity. And you see it in her. So while I was very, very impressed with her overall presence and how much she fixed that, there's just things that need to be changed about her physique if she wants to do better. And I'll also say this too. I do like that suit on her. I like the color, but I think her hair is too dark. I think it's too hard on her. She needs to go a little softer brown versus that black. And I think she needs to be darker on her tan. Her tan was too light, and her face was too light too. Her face was almost like normal makeup. So she needs to get a darker tan, and she needs to get darker makeup, and she needs to get lighter hair. Make herself blend a little bit more. Like right now, she's just too contrasty everywhere. How does she do that? Just stop training. Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to bringing down muscle density, once it's built, it's just kind of not going to go anywhere, right? So I don't know what she does in order to fix that. You know, my 2 cents is I think she should go into the Masters shows, because she would have won them. If she goes into the Masters level shows, she would win every single Masters show. Just saying, like, she's got a phenomenal look, but she looks like she's in her 40s in comparison to everybody else, right? She's doing the New York Pro. Yeah, she is doing the New York Pro. Yes. Oops, I just hit the button. I hate when I do that. There we go. Okay. I think this is her first show not coaching herself too. I know she recently started working with Kim. She's been with Kim since she started in Bikini, I believe. Since she started in Bikini, she's been with Kim. Not mom to children. She with Adam. She was not with Adam. No. I know she needs a darker tan, but won't she look more muscular the darker she is? Yes and no, because she looked too soft. So she needs to look tighter. Like when you look at her from the back specifically, you can see she was too soft from the back. So the tan will actually make her look a little bit tighter. So yeah, it's really hard to have that fine-tuned balance. And maybe she did the tan lighter for that reason. I mean, maybe that was part of it, but it didn't really work in her favor that way. Does Masters Division qualify for Olympia as well? No, Masters does not qualify for Olympia. No. So Aaron Stern is who we're talking about. So, you know, while she was improved with her presence, I think her physique and overall look, again, details just need some work. First show of the season, you know, like what happens with most of these girls, they come out for that first show of the season and they fix things. Like Gabby. Gabby's a perfect example. She came out for her first show of the season at Pittsburgh and she fixed things for St. Louis and won it. Right? Masters divisions do not qualify. Correct. They do not. Nope. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see what she looks like in New York. See what she changes. See what she fixes. See what kind of feedback she implements. That kind of thing. A lot can change in a week. So we'll see. I think I got everybody that we were talking about. Did I miss anybody that we want that? I don't think so. I think I talked about everybody. I talked about Hannah, Erin, Shelby, Ashlyn, Romina, and Marie and Vanya. So yeah, we got everybody. So overall, it was a really good show. And here's the other thing too. A couple things I want to mention about this show. So the whole panel, except for Joe, were all women judging, which is great because I feel like female judges really stick to the criteria, which, oh look, my computer decided to respond right now when we're done talking about it. Of course. But anyway, so I think that female judges just know how to judge the beauty aspect of it, the details aspect of it, as well as the physique. A lot of times I think we miss that aspect of it when we have male judges because they don't know makeup like we do. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. So I love having the full female panel that takes the full package into account. I think that's phenomenal. And I saw it really, really well with how they placed these girls. And I also think that's why they were in comparisons for 15 minutes because they were so tight and they were judging them on every aspect, not just who had the best glutes up there that day, you know? Woo woo, yeah, who run the world, right? At St. Louis was an all-male judging panel except for Adela, right? Love your lip color. Thank you. My suit just got delivered. There you go. Your suit just got delivered. Love it. Perfect timing. So yeah, so that part of it was really cool. So I loved seeing that because you could see just how detail-oriented these women were. It was awesome to see that, and it was awesome to see them put so much effort into judging every aspect of the females that were on that stage. I thought that was really cool. The whole vibe of the show was awesome because it was all females. There were no men. It was all girl power. So that was really cool. I love that, and it makes me really look forward to doing Nashville Fit Show. We'll be sponsoring that show too. in August. That's an all-female show, so I'm excited about that too. Oh yeah, and then there's Junior USA's too, which by the way, if you didn't know, we have the Pro Performer Promise. If you win your IFBB Pro card in one of my suits, you win your lifetime sponsorship with me. Lifetime. Just by winning your Pro card in my suit. That's all you gotta do. That's it. Easy peasy, right? So, just another little thing to think about right there. Yeah? Okay. All right, you guys, have a great night. I gotta get on these posing critiques and send you guys your videos in your posing portal folders. That's what's up next. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 8:15. All right. Yes. Don't say I hope. Say it will be me. It will be. Speak it into existence right there. All right, guys. Have a great night.